Morning dear students, wonderful to see all of you again online, and today's class, as we see on the whiteboard, is for class 10, and we will continue with the lesson, The Triumph of Surgery. Now if you look at this title, Triumph of Surgery, you have to take notice of this word, surgery. Surgery in a general sense means an operation. A surgeon performs a surgery, an operation, right? When a person needs an operation, the surgeon, he gives certain sort of medicines before operation, anesthetics, and then after that the operation is carried out. This is the general meaning of the word surgery. But here in this lesson, the word surgery means a place where patients are treated. So it's a kind of clinic, you can say, a small clinic. And who was running the clinic? Dr. Harriet was running it. And who was Dr. Harriet? He was a veterinary doctor. In short, we call him as Vet. So he was a family doctor of Miss Pumphrey. So we have some major characters in this lesson. Before we discuss the lesson in detail, I want all of you to have a look at these major characters. But before analyzing the major characters, once again, let us think of, or let us go over this, the overall theme. What is the theme? In English literature, every lesson and every poem will definitely have a theme. So what is the theme of this lesson? It is obesity and overindulgence. What is obesity? We had discussed this in the previous class, if you remember right. Becoming fat, excessively fat because of wrong food habit and taking food at wrong time. So that causes obesity, and in this lesson we see a dog by the name Tricky becoming obese. He becomes, in fact the writer puts it in a very nice way, he becomes as fat as a bloated sausage. We will come to that later on. Overindulgence, that is another word which you need to keep in mind. What do you mean by overindulgence? Eating something more than what you require. Doing something more than what you require. If you have more entertainment than what is required, that is an overdose of entertainment and you are indulging on that. If you eat more than what you require, especially the fast food items these days, you know, like burgers, pizzas and noodles and rolls, if you eat them too much, if you have a greed or a craving for that, you lose all your limits, then you become overindulgent. So in this lesson, a dog becomes overindulgent. It becomes greedy. And what is the name of the dog? Tricky is the name of the dog. Now, let's have some brief, information, some idea about this dog that is Tricky. Tricky was a dog that was petted by Mrs. Pumphrey. Mrs. Pumphrey was a very rich lady and she petted this dog, Tricky, pet dog. And since she was a rich lady, this dog was living a life of luxury. It was born on the lap of luxury, you can say, right? So, Mrs. Pumphrey offered everything that was of the best quality. Nothing less than the best was given to Tricky. What do you mean by best? Tricky had wonderful clothes, seasonal clothes. So for summer he had different kinds of clothes. For the rainy season again there were raincoats, and for the winter season there were warm clothes, woolen clothes. So far for the clothes. And what about the food items that she was enjoying? She had separate items, dishes for breakfast, separate items for lunch, and separate items for dinner. So she had Horlicks as a beverage, she had ice cream, she had pastry, she had cod liver oil, she had eggs, and sometimes she was also given wine for her food. So she was enjoying a lavish spread, and there were different bowls for her eating. So for breakfast she had a different bowl, for lunch she had a different bowl in which lunch was served, and for dinner she had a separate bowl in which she had a sumptuous or a tasty or a delicious dinner. So far for the bowls. And now for the bed, she slept on a cozy bed with mattresses and quilts, okay? And moreover, she was enjoying some games as well. There was a gardener, okay, who was appointed by Mrs. Pumphrey, and the name of the gardener was Tristan, and Tristan trained the dog every day. He had some rubber rings and he threw the rubber rings, so Tricky had to go pick them up and then come back. So we can understand that Tricky was a dog which did not belong to an ordinary family, but it was a dog that was petted by one of the richest ladies and born on the lap of luxury. He was meant to enjoy everything that was of the best quality, nothing less than the best. So this is known as overindulgence. What happened because of this pampering? You see, the dog was an active dog, but because of Mrs. Pumphrey's pampering, doting, petting, he became a greedy dog. An active dog, petted, becomes a greedy dog. Why did he become greedy? Because of the kind of stuffs that he was enjoying. And in the long run, he began to eat more and more. He crossed all the limits, and because of that, he became, like a bloated sausage. Bloated sausage. What do you mean by bloated sausage? Bloated means swollen. Sausage. It is a kind of tube in which meat is stuffed. Meat is cut into small pieces, then it is put into a kind of tube, probably an intestine of an animal, and it is stuffed inside and then it is fried. Well, this is a dish enjoyed by the Westerners. So, now Dr. Harriet, he is the writer of the lesson, he says, because of the wrong food habits or overindulgence of this dog, that is Tricky, he began to eat and he turned out to be a bloated sausage, eating more and more and more, and finally he took the shape of a bloated, fat, swollen sausage. And obesity sets in. You see, the dog becomes inactive. The active dog now is motionless. He's not able to run around. He's not able to move because a large amount of cholesterol or fat is accumulated in his body. And when fat gets accumulated in your body, remember, you find problems, health problems set in. Your heart gets affected, you have breathing problem, you sweat a lot, you cannot kind of work for longer time, and these are the symptoms. So, this dog Tricky became a victim of obesity. Now, in order to make him active, Mrs. Pumphrey thought that her dog was in danger. He was ill, so something has to be done for this dog. She starts giving the dog some extras like cod legs and cod liver oil. Cod is actually a fish, and from the fish oil is produced. So extra things or luxuries like cod legs and cod liver oil and many other things were given to her. Now this active dog who became greedy finally turns obese, becomes fat, excessively fat. And you know the symptoms, he starts vomiting. You can call it as nausea, a feeling of vomiting, and he did start vomiting. So the active dog lost appetite. What do you mean by losing appetite? You don't have any kind of interest for taking food. The interest for taking food became lesser and lesser and lesser, and therefore Tricky stopped eating. Now this was actually a blow, a surprise or a shock to Mrs. Pumphrey, because her most loved dog, most petted dog, the only dog that she was doting upon, has refused to eat now. So that created a worry, and it became a cause of concern in this lady, that is Mrs. Pumphrey. Okay, so far for Tricky. This exactly is the information of Tricky. Tricky was an active dog. But he was pampered and doted by Mrs. Pumphrey. Because of that, he became greedy. Then, as a symptom of obesity, he started vomiting, started to lose his appetite, he refused to take in any food, and finally, he was not able to walk even. Okay, so the condition becomes serious now. Then we move on to the next character, that is Mrs. Pumphrey. She is, of course, one of the most important characters in this lesson. A very rich lady by nature. I had already discussed about her. So she had everything that life could offer her. She was enjoying a good house, a mansion, and then she had beautiful cars, long modern cars, and good clothes to wear, and of course enough food to eat. So she was a lady once again, born to enjoy the best things in life, born on the lap of luxury, and she was giving all that was possible to her dog Tricky. Okay, she pampered the dog, and because of the pampering, she becomes the cause of Tricky's obesity. You see, giving too much for someone can put that person into trouble. So everything should be under a limit and under control. This is, of course, one of the messages that you have in this lesson, right? So anything, too much of anything is good for nothing. Everything under control, everything under limit will help you to live a very healthy life and a happy life. But unfortunately, Miss Pumphrey did not understand that. What she was thinking was, I am giving the best to my dog, and therefore my dog will remain robust. Robust means strong. My dog will remain healthy. My dog will remain strong. My dog will remain active. But what happened? The opposite happened. Instead of becoming active, he stopped walking, stopped eating food, and breathing became a problem. Okay. Now, that's so far for Mrs. Pumphrey. Then we come to the most important character in the lesson, and that is Dr. Harriet. I love this person in the lesson. You know why? This man was not a very rich man, but an experienced vet. He was one of the best veterinary doctors that you can ever have. So this particular man, Dr. Harriet, who was an experienced veterinary doctor who attended to the problems of Tricky, comes to know the kind of problem that Tricky is suffering. How did he come to know? Once, when Mrs. Pumphrey was walking her dog on the pavement, Mr. Harriet happened to see the dog. He understood the condition of the dog. He understood that the dog was going through a critical period, a crucial time. He was battling for his life. He understood that point, and immediately he asks Mrs. Pumphrey whether she had followed his instructions strictly or not. He had given some instructions to Mrs. Pumphrey in order to keep the dog, that is Tricky, very healthy. So you know what happened? The moment he saw Tricky on the road, he understood that Tricky was battling for life, and he asked Mrs. Pumphrey, did you follow the instructions? I told you not to give too much of sweets. Cut down on sweets. But did you cut down on sweets? Did you give him more exercise? Did you kind of put him on a strict diet? These were the three important questions asked by Dr. Harriet to Mrs. Pumphrey. But Mrs. Pumphrey could not give a proper answer. She was not able to keep up or carry out the instructions given by Dr. Harriet. Now, Dr. Harriet understood the problem of Tricky, and he planned a kind of treatment for Tricky. Now, he knew the situation is out of control, and the only solution is this dog has to be admitted in the surgery, and only after admitting him there can be a solution for his obesity. He understands the problem. So Dr. Harriet was an experienced veterinary doctor who was a family doctor, a family vet of Mrs. Pumphrey, who understood the problem of Tricky, and finally, he advises Mrs. Pumphrey to put the dog or admit the dog in the clinic. He gives a prompt advice, and he gave the right treatment. So when you analyze the character of Dr. Harriet, you must understand that he was an efficient veterinary doctor. He understood the problem of Tricky. He gave prompt advice, and then when Tricky was admitted in the surgery, he gave the right treatment. And you know, the beauty of this lesson is that Tricky was not given any medicine. Triumph of surgery. Surgery, as I told you, is a place where patients are treated. But on seeing the condition of Tricky, Dr. Harriet put the dog or admitted the dog in the clinic without any medicine. You may ask, the dog is suffering from obesity, but how come no treatment, no medicine? Well, there was a medicine, but what was the medicine? Only water. So, on seeing the condition of Tricky, like a bloated sausage, he came to understand just keeping Tricky without food for few days and making him only drink water would be the solution. So, for the first 4 or 5 days, Tricky was not given any food. He was just put in a kind of separate room, quarantined, as we are quarantined these days. Tricky was quarantined and he was fed on water and water and water alone, nothing other than water. Then slowly, the dog, that is Tricky, started showing up some progress. So what happened? After the 4 days of quarantine, Tricky was taken out of the room and then slowly he was made to eat food with the other dogs. And how he did that and how the symptoms of progress began to show on him is an interesting part to discuss, but we will discuss that in the next lesson. But for time being, in the next session but for time being, you must make yourself familiar with the characters. Take the book. I repeat, take the book if you have. If you don't have the book, the lesson is already there on the CBSE My Guide and there are several other websites. Go through the first 2 pages of the book because that is what we had discussed today. Keep the characters in mind. Tricky the dog who was affected by obesity and Mrs. Pumphrey who was the cause of that obesity and the reasons for his obesity. Everything is discussed in detail on the first 2 pages. And then remember to have a discussion remember to have a reading, remember to go through the character of Dr. Harriet. The role that he plays as far as the recovery of Tricky is concerned is very important. That can be a kind of question. We will discuss all these questions and also the remaining part of the lesson in the next class. Till then, enjoy reading and keep staying safe at home. Goodbye.